Throughout history, warfare has not only been a stage for conflicts, but also a powerful driver of innovation. From the rise of great empires and civilizations, each group sought new ways to gain the upper hand over their rivals, with inventions that were sometimes as surprising as they were effective. Below, we explore 10 weapons or war devices that left a remarkable mark between the Bronze Age and the fall of the Byzantine Empire. These creations had a real impact on the battlefields of their time, reflecting human creativity when it comes to waging war. 1. The Hittite war chariot, Bronze Age, circa 1600 to 1200 BC. In the Anatolian region, one of the period's most powerful civilizations, the Hittites, developed one of their greatest contributions to warfare, the war chariot, refined to be notably lighter and more maneuverable than earlier models. Initial chariots, such as those of the Sumerians, tended to be heavier and less versatile. The Hittites, however, used spoked wheels and advanced carpentry techniques to reduce overall weight. This granted them greater speed and stability over uneven terrain. The impact of this innovation was clearly seen in battles such as Kadesh, circa 1274 BC, where the Hittites deployed hundreds of chariots against the Egyptian army, demonstrating the effectiveness of their technology. With swift maneuvers and the ability to carry warriors armed with spears and javelins, these chariots became the spearhead of the Hittite strategy. Their development stemmed from the need to control broad territories and move rapidly, overcoming the limitations of infantry in a world where mobility made all the difference. Second, Assyrian siege towers, Neo-Assyrian Empire. After the fall of the Hittites, the Assyrians emerged as masters of warfare in the Near East, 911 to 612 BC. Part of their success lay in complex siege techniques and the development of mobile towers. These wooden towers generally featured several levels from which archers and soldiers could launch attacks on enemy walls. Some versions incorporated covered battering rams at their base to strike gates under relative protection. The Assyrians' advanced engineering know-how allowed them to build towers that matched the height of the walls, making it easier for troops to breach defenses. In addition, they fitted their machines with wheels and protective plating, and, combined with their formidable infantry, these siege towers were enough to make any city quake. Their innovation in military engineering fortified Assyrian power and extended their dominance across Mesopotamia, the Levant, and Egypt. Third, Persian scythed chariots, Achaemenid Empire. Although war chariots had been used since ancient times, the Persians of the Achaemenid Empire, circa 550 to 330 BC, conceived a particularly terrifying version, scythed chariots, with blades protruding from the axle. These blades jutted out on both sides of the wheels, creating a lethal effect against infantry formations. They were especially effective against armies that fought in tightly packed formations, such as the Greek phalanx, where soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder and were highly vulnerable to a chariot barreling toward them. However, the success of this weapon depended on factors like surprise, driver skill, and terrain. In battles like Cunaxa, 401 BC, these chariots caused chaos within enemy lines, breaking formations and allowing Persian infantry to exploit the confusion. Difficult to maneuver and not always decisive, they nonetheless symbolized the Persian ability to fuse innovation and intimidation to subdue the opposition. The Macedonian Hellenistic period. After the death of Alexander the Great, several of his generals, the Diadochi, fought over control of his vast domains. Siege warfare was already a finely honed practice, but some, like Demetrius I, Poliorcetes, took it to a higher level. One of his most famous creations was the Hellepolis, an enormous siege tower used during the Siege of Rhodes, 305 to 304 BC. Its name literally translates to "taker of cities," and the structure boasted multiple stories clad in metal plates to defend against fire and projectiles from atop the walls. Each level was armed with catapults and ballistas to bombard the defenders, while the base was equipped with ramps and battering rams to breach defenses. Although the Rhodians succeeded in repelling the siege, the Hellepolis stood out in history as a milestone in military engineering, intimidating any fortified city that saw it approach. 5. The polybolos, Hellenistic Greece. Within the Greek tradition of artillery, one of the most intriguing inventions was the polybolos, credited to Philo of Byzantium and other engineers. Essentially a repeating crossbow, it functioned like an ancient machine gun. It had a mechanism that automatically fed bolts and a crank to repeatedly draw the bowstring without the need to reload as in a standard ballista. This feature allowed rapid, continuous firing, a groundbreakingly modern concept for its time. Though it never became as widespread as other siege weapons, likely because of its maintenance complexity, the polybolos epitomized Hellenistic innovation in weapon design. Its very existence demonstrates that, even more than 2,000 years ago, inventors sought to boost both firing speed and battlefield efficiency. 6. The corvis, Republican Rome. In the 3rd century BC, Rome had not yet fully conquered the Mediterranean and needed to face Carthage's superior naval force in the Punic Wars. With limited maritime experience, the Romans devised the corvis, a boarding ramp with a spiked beak that would latch onto an enemy ship's deck. In this manner, Rome converted naval engagements into infantry skirmishes, where its disciplined ground forces excelled. The corvis succeeded in battles such as Mylae, 260 BC, enabling the Romans to overcome Carthage's naval dominance. It was, however, a double-edged sword. The additional weight and shifting seas sometimes destabilized Roman ships. Still, for a time, it transformed the nature of naval warfare. 7. The Scorpio, Imperial Rome. Rome's subsequent advances included the refinement of artillery devices. Among these, the Scorpio, known in English as the Scorpion, stood out, a torsion-powered weapon akin to a small ballista. Mounted on a frame, the Scorpio could fire bolts with high precision over a considerable distance. Its tall, upright arm, resembling a scorpion's tail, gave it its name. In pitched battles, the Scorpio was vital for striking key targets, officers, standard bearers, or for weakening tight enemy formations. During sieges, its height angle was well suited for harassing defenders perched on walls. Its inclusion in the Roman arsenal underscored the empire's commitment to maintaining military supremacy through the ongoing pursuit of better artillery. 8. The Plumbata, late Roman Empire. As the Roman Empire entered its later phase, its armies evolved to meet fresh threats along the frontier. Among its characteristic innovations was the Plumbata, a short-throwing dart tipped with a lead weight near the point. This extra weight helped the dart retain stability in flight and strike with greater force. Each legionary could carry multiple Plumbatae hooked inside their shield, ready for use just before close combat. The impetus behind the weapon's development was to harass and disrupt enemy ranks from a distance. maximizing the infantry's advantage at a time when Rome's borders were under increasing pressure from various barbarian tribes. 9. Greek fire, Byzantine Empire. Following the division of the Roman Empire, Constantinople remained the seat of the Byzantine Empire, inheriting its rich martial heritage. The jewel in its crown was undoubtedly Greek fire. According to tradition, it was discovered in the 7th century AD by Callinicos of Heliopolis. This deadly substance could burn even on contact with water, making it devastating in naval encounters. Byzantine ships were fitted with siphons capable of spraying the conflagration onto enemy vessels, turning the sea into a chaotic battlefield. The exact formula remained a closely guarded secret. Though rivals attempted to replicate it, none attained the same success. Greek fire played a pivotal role in defending Constantinople in numerous sieges, solidifying Byzantine naval superiority and prolonging the empire's life, despite threats from Arabs, Bulgarians, and other powers. The Chirosophon, Byzantine Empire, evolving from Greek fire, the Chirosophon sought to miniaturize that fearsome weapon for use in infantry combat. Imagine a portable apparatus, a hand-operated pump connected to a tube that ejected Greek fire at short range. This innovation allowed foot soldiers and garrison troops to douse foes in flames without relying on massive siege machinery. Despite the inherent hazards of handling such a volatile liquid, the Chirosophon was decisive in urban defenses and in skirmishes where naval artillery was impractical. This invention testifies to Byzantine ingenuity, as it constantly searched for new methods to shield Constantinople from one siege after another, upholding the reputation of a civilization that survived for centuries through its technological prowess. This overview of unusual and sophisticated weapons illustrates how each civilization strove for advantage using technology and strategy, from the earliest spoked wheels on Hittite chariots to Byzantine flamethrowers. Military history is punctuated by moments when human creativity exceeded the limits of imagination, leaving an indelible mark on the fate of empires and on warfare's own evolution.